Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday live stream. We got a lot of things to go over, so let's just jump right into it. So before we get to talk about the title and the thumbnail of the show, which we're going to take a look at crypto loans being at an all-time high, we have to take a little bit of a reverse and see what's going on in the market and why we're actually down and having a pullback. So if you don't know, some macro data came out just this morning, and it looks like the personal consumption expenditure index and also the personal consumption year over year, it's, well, actually light in line. To take a look at this, on the far right-hand column is what we had previously. In the middle column is what the economists have as an expectation. And then in the last column, or the one nearest, is the one that actually came in. So the personal consumption expenditures all came in with where we thought it was. We were at 0.3. We thought it'd be 0.2%. It's at 0.2%. Great. PCE year over year at 2.6 to 2.6. Core PCE, personal consumption, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. And then core, last time it was 2.8. We thought it would go to 2.9. Now it's at 2.9. And that's what the market expects, or that's what the economists expect. But everybody, I think, is flipping out just a little bit because they're like, see, inflation's going up, which is true. It is going up. As we can see right here, is the core PCE year over year is going up in one metric. And that would lead us to maybe we don't get the rate cuts, but so far it's 84%. Actually, let's take a look. I'm not for sure what it actually is. Is it 90 for the rate cuts in September? I can take that back. It's 86.9 or 87%. So we have this, and people are like, well, this is the worst thing of all time. I just don't really think that's true. And we're not at the level of what the Fed wants us to be at 2%, but here we are. So because of that, we can see that the traditional markets, S&P 500 is down 0.6% today. And then, of course, our market, which I don't have to tell you, is down pretty heavy. I mean, we were at over 4 trillion just last night, I believe, and now we're at 3.8 trillion. And we're going to see over the last hour, 24 hours, quite a bit of a hit, 3.7, 2.9. And I have to tell you, being here since 2017, when I see 3.7%, I'm like, what's the big deal? Why is everybody flipping out? And because I remember days of like 20, 30%. And I guess here we are. So Ethereum down, XRP. Is anything up besides Tether, which is a stable coin? Pretty much across the board, that's what it is, except for Kronos, of course, with their new partnership with the President Donald Trump's sons moving forward. So yeah, that's what we have. And it's a weird thing because we have these markets that are going down. Yeah, we take a look at the fear and greed index. This is for traditional markets. We're at 64, which would lead us to greed. And if we take a look at the fear and greed index for today, we're at neutral. Like people are just like, it is what it is. But there's always going to be somebody who's going to sell, and those are going to take whatever they want to. And of course, they can manipulate the markets a little bit. Let's be honest, when markets are manipulated a little bit. And because of that, we're going to see liquidations. Last 24 hours, we have 430 million. I want to say it was almost, no, excuse me. I take that back. 24-hour, you had $500 million of people getting liquidated because they went long. And that's just pretty much how it is. I always think this is like the same thing occurring every time we talk about this. Centralized exchanges start to drop off. They start to sell off. That causes the thin order books to go down as far as the price action. Price action goes down. People get liquidated. And we repeat the whole process again and again and again. And it's an odd thing because if we take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, the flow over the last week, I mean, as far as like Monday, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, we had all positive inflows. There was one, who the hell is this? Bitwise sold off 3 million, whatever. But I mean, as far as like the ETF goes, we can see that, accumulation, we're not at all-time highs. We're doing pretty good. The Ethereum ETF doing even better. As of 21st of August, we had BlackRock doing 200 million, 100 million, 300 million, so on and so forth. And then we had, I think, ARK here just sold off yesterday. And again, look at this. Ethereum spot ETF cumulative. Valhalla, looking pretty good. So what happened and why is this happening? It's anybody's guess. I can just tell you that if you're in the market for the long haul, you're going to do pretty well. But for the short term, these things get a little bit choppy, and that's just where we're at. However, there is some good news before we get to some concerning parts, which was, this is an article was put out by Crypto Slate. Top crypto protocols generated 1.2 billion in revenue, recording almost a 10% monthly growth. If you're not familiar with this, businesses have to generate some kind of revenue to flourish. I know in crypto that sounds crazy, that you have to generate revenue. That's like a real business. Do we really have to? Can't we just speculate for the rest of our lives? I guess. But in all honesty, at some point, these businesses, which are these different ecosystems, they have to start making some money. And there are some that have. And I was kind of blown away by which ones they were and which sectors they were. But it makes sense if we know what's coming down the pipe. The first one here is Athena. It led the percentage gains with a 243% revenue surge, jumping from 9 million to 32.4 million in a 30-day time frame. So that's pretty great. First of all, what the heck is Athena? Athena is a stable coin, and it is based on, you guessed it, Ethereum. Now, smartly, it is multi-chain, but I can guarantee a lot of the, well, I can't guarantee anything. I would say a lot of the transactions probably on Ethereum, maybe on Solana, maybe Hyperliquid. But again, it's a multi-chain, and for stable coins, I'm surprised it did this well. So watch out for Athena. And again, you can't really do much with as far as like, making billions of dollars on stable coins, but you take a look at the rail that they're built on. Next one, the scourge of society, Pump.fun, posted the second highest percentage growth at 79%, with the revenue climbing from 22 million to 40 million. And if we take a look at Pump.fun, which is ranked somehow, in some way, 103 by Crypto Market Cap, it's on Solana. So, I mean, that's great. If you don't really want to dirty your hands with meme coins, at least maybe you get into a little Solana, because that's the rails that it's built on. And then, of course, there were some other ones. Solana did well, Tether did well. Circle, obviously, Hyperliquid, I think the darling of the cycle, along with SWI. Sky Protocol, never heard of it. And then also Tron recorded some gains. So that got me thinking, let's take a look at the revenue by ecosystems. And this is from DeFiLlama.com. You can go check that out. I need to link that in the description. Sorry, I did not do that. But if we take a look at the revenue itself for these different chains, take a look at this. Tron is number one, and it's not even close. The 24-hour revenue is 2 million, which, I mean, hey, I will take 24-hour revenue of 2 million. But look at this revenue in 30 days. $62.5 million. And then I have this nice little app that shows what that is in Bitcoin terms, which is 57,000 Bitcoin. But imagine that in 30 days, Tron is leading the pack over Ethereum. And remember how much Ethereum was? I mean, as far as like the transaction fees, especially in 2021, now in 2025, doing a little better. 16 million. Solana doing 4 million. Let me see. Base, Brian Armstrong's favorite pet project, 6 million. And then Binance Smart Chain, 1.1. Avalanche, 690,000. Arbitrum, ton, and it really drops off after this. I'm sorry to say. Like, these projects, it's all speculation. And I hate to say that because I own a bunch of them. Like, everything I just talked about, I own. Every single one. I own Ton, Polygon, Near, Not Optimism. I bought some Mantle. I don't know what the heck Sonium is, or ZK Sync. I don't use those. Psy, no. Inc, yes, just because it's on Kraken. No, but look at this revenue. This is sad. Inc is $12,000 in 30 days. That's not going to cut it. Anyhow, I just would like to see a little bit more adoption and a little more use cases. And of course, you're welcome to say, Rob, it doesn't matter. This is all speculation. These companies don't have to do anything. We'll still buy it. And you're probably right. But as far as like revenue goes, I'm going to I believe in the ones that actually people use, need to use, and want to use. And that's the ones that I'll get into. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but here we go. Visa is always looking at these things. And because of the Genius Act that came about, and as far as stable coins going, and I think that's what the Trump administration wants to do, which is to back everything one-to-one by treasuries for these stable coins and reach global mass, you're going to see which ones are the stable coins that are doing well. Well, it's the ones that just have a bunch of revenue. I already showed you. As far as stablecoin transaction volume, Ethereum, Tron, BSC, Solana, Arbitrum, Base. Next one, what is this? Stablecoin transaction count by blockchain. It's the same thing. BSC, Tron, Solana, Polygon, which is Ethereum layer 2 solution. BSC, Tron, Solana, Polygon, and so on and so forth. So if you're looking at like, which ones are good, I'm always talking about this, and it might blow up in my face, but I still think that the rails for stablecoins are going to do pretty well. But this leads me to my last point, which was taking a look at loans. Because when I was taking a look at RevShare, there was a link where it went to loans, and I had actually gotten this sent to me. Tether leads crypto borrowing soars to 44 billion. I'm like, I wonder what's that look like over time as far as like Bitcoin loans. Now, if you're not familiar with Bitcoin loans, 2021, big deal. People were using loans like crazy. I even took out a loan on Celsius for a investment property. It worked out okay. It is what it was. But we take a look, and the thing that concerns me about this is it seems like nobody takes loans in the bear market. They just, for some reason, don't. They think that everything's going to go up forever, which it might be, because that's what Michael Saylor says, and he's never wrong. So let's say everything keeps going up forever, loans will do great. But in the bull market, I think you'd be best served to take those loans in the bear when things are really down, but people just don't do that. And because of that, it's making me a little bit concerned. This is on DeFi Llama under lending. And we can see that the top projects, Aave, Morpho, Sparkland, JustLend, Compound, Camino, Maple, they're doing a lot. And what I want to show you is this is lending back in May of 2020. We had a paltry 95 million on 16th of May. And then it just started to explode, because that's what happens when we move forward and there's actual people trying to do things. And, God bless, and they try to do their best. But as of 2021, we had $32.73 billion in loans. And then it just kind of dropped off because of, well, here's May, June, July, August. Because as you remember, in April, there was an all-time high, and people were taking loans like crazy. And then May kind of topped out because people were like, hey, wait a second, Bitcoin's going down 10%. And then it went down 30%. And then it went down 50% all the way into August, and people stopped taking so many loans. But then as time went on, as we get to, December or so, or actually I should say November, people were starting to take loans like crazy. Now, as we go forward, we actually did pretty good here until March because people were still hopeful. Look what happened. Yeah, it just dropped off because everybody who was listening to, hey, bro, super cycle, laser eyes, diamond hands, once they got through their thick heads that wasn't going to happen, then they're like, maybe we shouldn't take so many loans, or maybe we're just going to get liquidated because we have margin calls on these loans. So you're here in 2022. And I don't want to be a harbinger of bad news. I just want to show you where I hope things don't go. And that is, as we move forward, you can see that things are looking pretty good for loans because we've had a nice little bull market. And then we have it down and then up. And look where we're at today. $78 billion, or roughly 727,000 Bitcoin, if you wanted to denominate stuff like that. So is this the worst thing that can happen? No, it can't. But I'm just going to tell you, once you get a bunch of loans and you're in a bull market, that bull market better last, because not everybody can cover the margin calls. And that's just pretty much how it is. So let me know what you think about that in the comments section. I could just be raising a concern that has nothing to do with anything, and everything's going to be cool and kosher and fine. But I think it's something worth note. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And lastly, I thought this was pretty interesting. Tether is bringing a stablecoin to Bitcoin. Now, I don't really have all the great information. This was just released, and I haven't done my due diligence. But I want to bring this to everybody's attention because I've been talking about stablecoins for so much. And I'm going to use the Stanley Druckenmiller type of approach. Just, get into it or buy into it and then do research. don't bet the farm on something, but, talk about it, look at it, get into it, and then do a bunch of research on it. Tether brings USDT to RGB. I don't know what RGB is, neither did I. It's rgb.tech as far as the website. As LinFi, which would be Lightning Network Finance, I guess, and LN, Lightning Network, to views on Binance Alpha, driving Bitcoin native liquidity. And wouldn't that be interesting if we could do that? If we could have a stable coin right on top of Bitcoin as a layer 2 solution. And people say, well, that'd never work, Rob, because Bitcoin is so expensive. Remember in 2021, you had those transactions. Yes, on layer 1, which would be Bitcoin, but maybe this is what the Bitcoin maximalists are always talking about. Bitcoin is the internet layer, the HTTP, the TCP IP layer, and everything else gets built on top of that. If that's the case, that's what we have here. The very beginning stages. RGB released to mainnet on 17th of July this year, introduces client-side smart contracts that let tokens move across Lightning channels with almost no on-chain footprint. 20th of August, Tether announced it will launch USDT on this RGB. All right. Taproot assets version 0.6 shipped by Lightning Labs in late June this year embraces the same low-fee philosophy, delivered in a developer-friendly toolkit already integrated into multiple wallets. LinFi, Lightning Network Fi, is the first platform to integrate both standards side by side, allowing issuers to launch assets using either protocol based on their needs without ever leaving Bitcoin's trust boundary. And that's it for today. So look, that is exciting if they can pull that off. But that's it for this one. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Everybody talk about is time sensitive. Now, if you want to stick around, we'll do a little Q&A, answer all your questions, and we'll go from there. Seth Shepard says, but I should have said not financial advice. This is true. Do your own investments if you're feeling lucky. But you take a look at some things and you can kind of see it. The things that are kind of breaking out of this, like, this is a great community, bro, and we're gonna have some utility at some point, and we're really gonna build. And then all of a sudden, you see things that are actually being used. Like I'm an American, an unapologetic American, mind you, and I never understood Tron. Never. I thought it was the dumbest thing of all time, especially with Justin Sun. I'm like, that guy's just a great marketer. But then, as I started to work with people, EU, Southeast Asia, these different places outside the US, and they're just like, hey, for everything that you need to do, it's all going to be on the Tron rails as far as like with the stablecoin and everything else. I'm like, why are you using Tron? They say, because everybody uses Tron. And then, of course, we can send things to your Binance account. I'm like, I don't have a Binance account. I'm in America. They're like, wow. And then I just got it that everybody's just using Tron because it's actually across all different types of exchanges. And then, of course, they're using the stable coins. So I bought a big fat bag. So am I biased? Yes. Anyhow, that's where I think it is. But as a reminder, I do on a bunch of different alts. Wait 2 more weeks. All right. Stack says, how do you think MicroStrategy will do in October? I have no idea. Talk to James over Best Answers. I'm sure he's got some things to tell you, a thing or two about MicroStrategy. Let's see. Hey, Rob, still a dip buyer on Bitcoin at today's level. I bought a lot of stuff today, but unfortunately, it'll probably dip tomorrow even worse. So, I mean, you buy the dips and it keeps dipping and dipping, and then you're all dipped out. Like, where'd all my money go? That's okay. It's either that or I always think the same thing. If you take a look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they have charts all the way back to 1910, and it takes a look at inflation of the US dollar. And you can just see that on some years, I mean, it's down 10% or it's up 10%. Sometimes it's 3%, but it averaged around 5 to 6%, sometimes 7%, for the inflation rate. So, which means that your purchasing power of the dollar is going down roughly 5% every single year. So I always look at my bank account, and I got to tell you, that bank account is just getting beat down. But I look at the bank account, and I think to myself, okay, if I'm not making 5% every year on this money, what am I doing? Because I'm just letting it all slip away. So I invest. I invest heavy. And that meme of your bank account being anemic and then your crypto account being pretty fat, it's pretty much true. Chris says, this is no time to be dipped out. Yeah, and this is the great thing about, like, people ask me, like, why don't you just put everything into Bitcoin? Or why don't you put everything into just crypto? Why do you do real estate? It's because of days like this. Because I can only put so much into it. And then there's like just a little diversity. So it's great to have multiple revenue streams, and real estate, short-term and long-term rentals come in. You can put some of that stuff away, or buy more crypto. And it's just really nice, especially like when we get to the bear market, which is some point I think is coming. Unless there's a super cycle, sure. Yeah, we were talking dips since 2023. We were. It's a funny thing because we go, and up we go. And it's one of those things where we like to wait and not take profits, but like we talk about on this channel a lot, which is very simple, which is the rules. And the rules underneath me, everybody knows. It's all gone. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Meaning, if you are a billionaire and you have a company called, I don't know, MicroStrategy, and you can afford putting everything into Bitcoin, then go put everything into Bitcoin. If you are somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck and has a little bit more of issues, and you're trying to support family or even extended family, and maybe you're worried about getting laid off, maybe you shouldn't put every single dime and dollar into Bitcoin and save up for a rainy day. So it's all gone, meaning don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Everything's a scam until proven otherwise. And even me, all the stuff I just told you could be a total scam. So don't trust even me. Don't leave things on exchanges. I think we all learned that. Take them off. Use my favorite TANGEM or Ledger. Try not to use leverage. I mean, 100x is kind of crazy. 2 to 3x, 5x. All right. Have fun. But leverage is, of course, what leads to massive liquidations. And the last one is take profits. Nobody ever went broke taking profits, for the most part. Somebody told me one time, they said, that's not true, Rob. If you take profits, you actually do lead to a loss, especially those countries where their fiat is debased to nothing. I'm like, okay, you got me on that one. But the majority take profits. Nobody ever went broke doing that. Okay. Jason Ford says, trust me, I will take profits this time, just not right now. After the rate change, lock it in. Sounds good to me. You know, some people already sold some people are going to wait. Hey, everybody's got a plan. Just stick to that plan. Rob, what's that website with how much people are buying with what projects? It's probably this one. Come on, this one. DeFi Llama. DeFi. And then double LAMA. DeFi Llama. DeFi Llama. And just check that. And it's got a whole host of information on here. It's really good. And I think here, like, you can even take a look at oh, they've moved it. Stablecoins on market, stablecoin supply by chain, stablecoin pools, stables. Just a whole host of stuff. Pricing tools, let's see. Report error. DeFi watch list. Yeah, most of it's free. Yields, and so on and so forth. All right. AJ asks, with what looks like might be a red August, you think we'll have a green September? Depends. Depends if Jerome Powell comes out and says, you know what? Rate cuts, 25 basis points. Or if he comes out and says, you know what? Rate cuts, we really messed up, 50 basis points. But I have to ask the question, which is, we have unemployment going up a little bit. Initial claims have been pretty much the same. We just took a look at inflation is hitting expectations, but going up. And the GDP was just revised from 3.0 to 3.3. So like when you have an economy that's doing pretty good, and some people say, it's not doing good, shut up. This is the worst economy of all time. It's not true. If you take a look at, I know the stock market is not the economy. If you take a look at just the stock market, our market, it's pretty good, 4 trillion, and S&P doing quite well. As far as like the cost of consumer goods has gone down pretty well over the last 6 to 8 months. not pay raises, but salaries have maintained or gone up a little bit. And then if we take a look at, I mean, the inflation rates, it's actually going up a little bit, which is why would we cut rates when that happens? And then people will point to the jobs report and say, but look at all the jobs that were not taken, 250,000. I get all that. But again, some of the things that I know that it's like 85% Jerome's going to say it, he's going to cut those rates. But what if he doesn't? And people are saying, well, it's already priced in. Can you imagine what September would be like if that actually happened? Probably pretty bad. Bitcoin will tumble first, and alts will tumble next, and it'll be a bloodbath. And it's two ways to look at that. That's like the worst case scenario for some of you, but for others, you're like, now we're talking. That sounds good, because there's either one of two things are going to happen. We're going to have a crappy September. Then we're going to have a pretty good Q4, which is what we always do, especially in 1 year post-halving, October, November, December. If we have a really bad September, that's a great way for you have cheap assets. Or the second thing that's going to happen is maybe things do get extended, like people are talking about. I don't know. I don't really put too much money into that. Whatever happens, happens. We'll take a look at the indicators. But let's say it does. Let's say it goes to January, February, even March of 2026. You have 6 months to accumulate until we have this blow off top. Or even worse, and I guess the third thing that could happen is, but you don't understand, there's these ETF and these institutions that are buying everything, and it's going to stabilize everything, and we're just going to keep going up and to the right. I just did a video which pretty much debunks that, and I could be wrong. I'll put it out on Saturday, but if you're curious to see like if this is going to keep going on and the Fourier cycles are dead, I just did a video with Bitcoin Magazine Pro and their lead analyst. And this is from 2 days ago. Just watch that video. And all the data doesn't support people saying it's going to keep going forever. Anyhow, great reminders. Yeah. I mean, good enough. But no one knows. Rob's thoughts on Clanker. I have no idea what that is. I don't know what's... I got a 55 cents raise. It's pretty good. Let's see. Jason says August is green. September will be red. October half and half. We're all rich in November. Take it to the bank or not. Yeah, remember 2017, we hit all-time highs early December. 2021, it was November. And then 2013, I want to say it was December as well. So maybe it was late November. But Q4 post-halving, usually pretty good. And if it's not, this will be the first time in Bitcoin's existence when Q4 sucked. 21 cents. That's better. Jennifer says average people aren't doing well. There's always going to be some people that aren't going to do well. When people say and the economy's doing well, there's always going to be somebody that just doesn't work out. And that's the truth. Thankfully, though, I mean, we're all hopefully healthy, haven't lost any loved ones. Things are good for the most part. I mean, the worst, it's not so bad to be down 5%, 10%, 20% of your portfolio. Let's see. Be ready to sell your alts. Also without all-time highs or even with. It's a good one, Juan. And as a reminder to everybody, I'm not a diamond hand kind of guy. Hey, I'm massively in profit. I'm going to dump on everybody. So just remember this face when you're thinking to yourself, should I sell and have some profits? Yes, because if not, I will dump on you. And I have no problems doing it. Every single one of you in the comment section. I know you probably don't hear that too often, but it's true. Yeah. So the rich also die. This is also very true. Can't take it with you. Crypto Builders keeps says, every time majority of people figure out things like Bitcoin invest to make money, the Wall Street apes pile in and wreck. Yeah, it's true. Another thing is, I don't know how you guys are doing it, but I'm tired of telling friends and family about it. I've just shut up now. And I've been doing this since like 2017, and I'm just like, now I get it why like the Rothschilds and like well-to-do people don't usually give advice unless people come up and ask them for it. It's because they don't want to be held responsible. Just like, I can tell you what to do, but you're going to screw it up. So why would I even tell you? Igor says, no retail, no alt season. I think there's always going to be, I mean, look, we just took a look at pump.fun having a massive amount of revenue. and like number 2, right underneath Athena, which was a stable coin. Retail is lurking around. They know that the best way to, or one of the, not the best, one of the fastest way would be to gamble on altcoins. And people love to gamble. It's just how it is. Hopefully we get retail to come in and not get wrecked too bad and get into like, Bitcoin first, then kind of funnel down to some other reasonable altcoins. But we'll see. No rate cuts, no all season. That could be true. Any news on Zcash? 0. Yes. It gets me in trouble a lot, but I can sleep at night. Jennifer says, I should have just bought 10,000 of Bitcoin and that's it. Yeah, I mean, you can. Hey, it'd be a good thing to go over. Let's do this. Let's take what Jennifer's talking about, 10,000 of Bitcoin. And let's take from, I'm going to guess Jennifer did this recently, right? Maybe. So what if we took from like January 1st, 2025, and we did a lump sum of 10,000? What would that look like for XRP? What would that look like for Polygon? What would that look like for Hyperliquid? You want to find out? Check this out. Let's steal some information from Ben's website. And if you'd like to, I'm pretty sure the DCA strategy tool is free. There's a link in the description. So it sends you to the right site, into the Cryptoverse. Click on that link and sign up and get this free tool. It's fun. It's fun to play around with. It's fun to show your family too what a bunch of morons they are, because they could have bought crypto, but they didn't. And how much they're missing out on. I'm just kidding. Your family, I'm talking about my family, not your family. Let's see. Let's do lump sum. And let's go 2025. January 1st, our New Year's resolution was to buy Bitcoin. $10,000. Let's do Hyperliquid, SWE, Stellar. Does anybody hold Bitcoin Cash? Probably not. Avalanche, Hedera, Chrono. I guess we can do Chronos, but this is going to be kind of skewed. Litecoin, Toncoin, Polkadot, Uniswap, Monero, Aave. Can we do this, May? Let me see. Oh my God, we can. Okay, so look at this. So Jen said I should have bought $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. That's it. If you would have done that just this year, 8 months ago or so, give or take some days. So we all did this. We put 10,000 bucks into Bitcoin and a bunch. And of course, if you had a boatload of money, you could put in all this stuff. Which one? Let me just ask you. Wow, look at this. Look at how bad we did going forward. We were actually underwater with Solana, BNB, Tron, Link, ADA, Doge, Stellar, Aave, ETH, SWE, HBAR, Uniswap, DOT. And the only ones that we were up, Litecoin. Wow. XRP, Monero, Hype. And that's just in February. Look at this. This is why I'm always talking about throwing sand in the ocean, because essentially you are doing that all this time, but you don't have to have everything hit, just the one thing to hit. So look at this. On April 30th, 2025, the only thing you're up, even in Bitcoin, you're down 0.2%, is Monero. Weird. Bitcoin's doing pretty good. I mean, you're not Monero rich, which 113% up. Bitcoin is still holding up. Look at that. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. A little more green. Now we see a little bit of a shift, right? Now we're up. Let's see. Bitcoin's up 27%. Tron is up 23%. XRP 53%. Monero, so on and so forth. What about today after we took this dip? Oh, it's not bad. Oh, let me do this. August 29th. So your winners are, ladies and gentlemen, you didn't do too bad with Bitcoin. You put in 10,000, you now have $11,427 for 8 months and 29 days. Congratulations. If you would have put it into Crow, somehow you had 18,000, probably because of that merger. Hyperliquid, Tron, you had $13,000. Stellar, 13,000. ETH, 12,000. BNB, 12,000. XRP, 12,000. Then Bitcoin. And the rest of these, Link, Litecoin, Sol. Wow, look at Sol. You only have 4.2%. How sad is that? Ava, ADA, HBAR, interesting. I always like to do that little exercise just to see where things are. Because there has been people that have told me before, like, all you got to do is just lump sum. I'm like, no, I don't really want to do that. I dollar cost average. I do this thing called DC. I do this thing called dynamic DCA. If you want to find out what that is, there's a link in the description under my crypto critical videos. We'll see. Seth says, I'd rather own Litecoin than XRP. Litecoin's pretty good. Bitcoin needs to close above 108,000 or very slippery slope. I've heard that same sentiment as well. Yeah, wow. Some dude killed my friend's dad while being chased in a car by the cops. He died in the prison last week. Awful. See? You think things are bad in your life. Let's see. Yeah, ETFs. What's Ben's vice? Ben doesn't have that many vices, but that's one of them. I think that's it. Did we answer everything? And then Frosty P says, cheap gas for Labor Day weekend. Can't beat that. Everybody, that's it for today. So look, thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. That video I talked about before about taking a look at how things are, it's a funny thing because the more things change, the more they stay the same. And you're going to take a look at that as we take a look at 2013, 17, 21, and 25. And just how odd it really is. And what it really comes down to is just human nature. So I don't see a massive extended cycle. I don't see up forever. And I'll put that out tomorrow. But that's it for today. Thanks much, everybody, for stopping by. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day or night. Adios.